Welcome back to another featured illustrator interview. My name is Tamika Grooms, and I'm the Design and Illustration Manager for SCBWI. Every month, we select an Illustrator member to spotlight on the SCBWI website and social media pages to highlight the work that they're doing in the children's illustration market. This month's featured illustrator is Mirelle Ortega. Mirelle, thank you so much for joining me today. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm pretty good. How are you?
I'm good, good. Well, welcome to the screen. I hope that you are ready for this interview. I know that I am. I'm so happy that I actually get a chance to talk with you. Um, After I reviewed your website, I was really impressed with all of the things that I've seen that you've done and accomplished already. And so I'm really happy that we got a chance to talk and share your work with the rest of our members and the industry as well.
Oh, thank you. I'm excited to be here. I'm like really happy to be talking to you. I've seen some of the other interviews you've made and I thought they were fantastic. So I'm like really excited for this.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, so let's get into it. I want to start with your work, and I will show everyone your books in a few moments. But I wanted you to talk a little bit about, your journey as an author illustrator, how you got to this point, and talk a little bit about your books.
Yeah, sure.
Mhm.
So I am from Mexico. I'm from Veracruz, Mexico. And ever since I was little, I really wanted to do art and like either cartoons or books. I've always been a very bookish girl. So that was like covers were like a big thing for me. I loved buying a good book for the cover, not really knowing what was coming inside. um, and yeah, when I was, in time to go to college, I went to college in Mexico for digital art and animation, which was a new career at the time. I'm actually like the second generation that graduated from that. And after that, I worked for a little bit in Mexico City as an illustrator for a digital platform, where I got to work with really good artists and learn a lot there, especially about digital art, like Illustrator, Photoshop, and all that. And then I came to the US to do a master's in visual development with Academy of Art in San Francisco. So that's kind of how I got here. I Visual development is for animation, so I was like still very trying to do that. And like in my head, you kind of needed to be an animator and then you could do books. I don't know why I thought that. And then one time I actually went to like a talk about one of a Pixar animator who had turned into an author illustrator, and his agent was there and he was like, yeah, you can just, so well, not to me but to everyone, he was, you can just submit your work. And I was like, oh, this is like like a complete career path that has nothing to do with it. um so that's kind of how I started to like research a lot about the industry, and I came across SCWI, and just joined because I really wanted to like learn more. um, I actually joined, I think, in 2019 because I really wanted to go to the summer conference in 2020, which not a good, it didn't happen, but I mean, it's still a good place to be.
Excellent. So how has animation influenced your approach to illustration?
Um, I think it influences a lot of my influences. Like a lot of the art that I grew up watching or admiring was like art for movies or TV shows. So I think in that aspect, I think I'm very character driven in my work because of like my animation background. And I also think, it kind of like influences a lot like the simplicity of my work at times. Like I'm really into like shape-based language. So, and I think that comes from it because when you have to animate something, you have to, be kind of like very economic with the things you design to make sure it moves well and it's easy to replicate. So I think in that way a lot.
And you're working with I don't want to dive too deep into the animation, but I think it's relevant. When you're working with a team of animators, or like who comprises of your team when you're doing animation? And then I want to compare that to illustration as well.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting.
Uh-huh.
So for anime, I'm not an animator. I study that. I'm not that good.
Uh-huh.
So I usually do art for pre-production or art for pitches, which is art for like stuff that will be taken out to like executives to kind of like sell a show.
Okay.
So in that, that's like a very small team. It's usually just like the writer and me, or just if there's like a production house and me and the writer. Um, so I do like something that's very similar to illustration with an animation, which is very interesting.
Indeed, indeed. So occasionally we do interviews and we have people who have done animation or studied animation.
Mhm.
And so I always see that there's a clear correlation where animators can go into illustration as well. But what I notice is that people who have an animation background tend to approach what they put on their websites, and how they document their work and demonstrate their ability to do their work a little bit differently than how some illustrators might do it, you know? And I want to show an example of what I'm talking about. Can you hold on one moment and I'll switch over to my magic website screen. One moment. All righty. Can you see my screen with your animation page on it? Okay. So, tell me a little bit about, and I'll scroll down. Tell me a little bit about what you've shown here and why you've decided to show it.
Yeah, I think you really want to show images that are striking, that are like attention grabbing, but that show that you understand like basics like foreground, middle ground, background, that are like telling a story. But also you kind of want to be a little bit technical too and show that like you could design characters in different positions. A lot of you don't need to be like so polished, I think, when you show your animation work, um, because a lot of the time for biz dev specifically, it's not going to end up in the screen. It just kind of will inform it. So like it's a lot about showing your ideas and how you approach coming up with those ideas.
Mhm. So what in my own practice, what I've started to do, and this is why I find these interviews to be so valuable, because I learned so much by talking to each of the featured illustrators. What I've started to do is to slowly incorporate some of these techniques that animators do by creating a sample scene, sometimes doing certain elements, like on here you have your characters, but you also have your design for their props. And whether or not that's used, it kind of starts to make you focus in on what it is you're really trying to do, how you want to do it, and how to keep it consistent too.
Yeah, it really kind of like tells you like what the shape will, like the language of it will be.
Hmm. Hmm. And you do art direction as well?
Yes, I started last year.
Okay.
I got to art direct 3 books, and it was amazing. It was a great, great um, change of pace.
Hmm.
It's always interesting because, I was working with 3 artists who I think are amazing and definitely respect their work so much. So it's interesting to see like how to like have an opinion without being the person doing it, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
Like just kind of like, making sure their work is shining, at the best of its capacity. It was really cool, really rewarding.
Yeah. Do you have is it challenging to give other people critiques, or what's your advice to our viewers on giving critique and receiving critique, because that's tricky sometimes.
Yeah, I think I've definitely been more on the receiving end of the critique. So I think that's easy. That's good when you're because you know what you like and what you don't like
Yeah.
on like delivery. Because I think a lot of critiquing is the delivery of it.
Mhm.
Because you can be really nice even though you need things changed.
Yeah.
And make people feel like, they did a good job. It was just not the thing that it needed to happen at that
Mhm.
moment. And I think I think when I get critiques, I definitely try not to take it personal. Like it's not, sometimes it's just not what it needs, and that's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah, absolutely. Great advice. Great advice. Okay, so before I close your website, I want to go to your books because you have some work that you've done recently as an author illustrator.
Yay.
Please share anything you'd like to share about your books and how we can find them as well.
Yeah, thank you. So I started writing and illustrating, so like being an author in 2022. This is my first book came out. So this is my first book that I wrote and illustrator. It's called Magic, subtitle Once Upon a Faraway Land.
Huh?
Um, and it's a very special book to me. It's about like the magic of change and transformation and how things change. Um, it's really like a love letter to the place I'm from, which is a little town called Isla in Veracruz. It's really personal, and I'm really happy with the way it came out. I got to work on it with Cameron Kitts, which is part of Abrams.
Mhm.
Um, and it was like a really special experience. It also got an Illustrator Awards for the Pura Belpre, an Illustrator Honor for the Pura Belpre Award, which was really, really exciting. Um, and I also have River of Mariposas, which is my second book, also with Abrams. And I just love being able to create these books. I really wanted, I don't know, just like as a young kid looking at art, I kind of fell in love with a lot of places through it, like maybe like Beatrix Potter, and then you'll see like the English countryside and like, just like all those beautiful places in Europe. And I really wanted to give that treatment to the place I grew up in Mexico because I thought it was beautiful and magical. So I really wanted to kind of show it through that lens to other people.
Your artwork is absolutely stunning.
Oh, thank
Yeah, and I believe one of the pieces that we chose for today's featured art is from the book.
you. From River, yes. I
Yes.
think it's let
Absolutely beautiful. I love it. I love it. I love the colors. I love the butterflies. There's so much to kind of see in that one piece. And then when I realized it was a part of a book, I was like, that'll help her hopefully sell the book too.
hopefully.
Hopefully. Yeah. Yeah. But I think
Yeah.
the artwork's beautiful though.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I love that piece too. So
Mhm.
I was like, oh, I'm happy that you picked that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can't wait to show that on our website and social media pages. By the time this video is done, they'll see it, but it's really beautiful artwork. Thank you for sharing that
Thank
with
you.
us. Yeah. So if you all have not seen Mirelle's website, please hop over to her website and check it out. There's lots of information there. I only showed you a few things just to kind of give you an opportunity to learn about her work. Mirelle, could you please share with me how we can learn more about your work? If
Yeah.
there's any socials you'd like to share, that would be wonderful as well.
Yeah, thank you. My website is, you can find everything there, mirelleortega.com. I'm on Instagram at msmirelle. And that's, I think, where I post the most. I'm everywhere, but I don't post that often.
I understand.
Yeah, there's just too many things. And I also have a newsletter. And it's like a quarterly newsletter. I only send like 4 things a year, so people forget that it's there, and then all of a sudden it's like, it's me, I'm still here. That's on Substack, and I think you can reach it through my website too.
Perfect, perfect. Well, it has definitely been a pleasure to speak with you today. I hope that we see a lot more of your work and of you at some of our SCBWI events and continue to win those awards because we'd love to see you do that. So,
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. This is really, really special for me.
yes, absolutely. All right, we'll see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.